And we're here to be a voice for that innocent human being. It's pro-abortion, just want to talk about everything except for what exactly abortion does.
In just 2014, there have been more than 180,000 abortions taking place in England and Wales. This pro-life group wants to change women's minds before these graphic images become one of their own child's. Ruth is the leader of this group, Abort 67, in London. They are one of the most prominent anti-abortion group which would use these controversial images to convince a woman abortion is a murder. But not everyone agree with what they do.
Does anyone deserve it? Do they deserve to be at the age of 3, potentially ending up in a worse thing like because the family can't come to them? You have no idea what might be going on. This is not a person. This is not a person. It's a fetus, and I think that this is what is a fetus? It's a stage of life. Okay, you can be offended by me, and I'm hugely offended by this.
Yeah, these images are horrible. They're disgusting. We don't like looking at them either, but this is what abortion is. This is what abortion does. Until people are going to wake up and call for change and stand up for these innocent victims, we need to show what is happening.
Knowing this is a tough battle, the weekly display continues from the health authority to the heart of the war zone. The abortion clinic. Like many private clinics in the country, this one in Suffolk allows women to carry out their termination. Ruth and her team are gathering public support to close down these clinics. They believe no one can justify an abortion, even when a woman has been raped. And they are here to reveal what they've seen as the truth about abortion.
When we're outside, women change their mind and they've gone on to have their babies and they're thanking us.
While some might see their work as life-saving, many see it as harassment, particularly when they have strapped a camera on their chest. Why do they need a camera when walking up to a vulnerable woman?
Because we do get people that attack us, that are rude to us, that shout at us, and just so that people can't make false accusations about our behaviour, because our behaviour is always polite and we respect everyone we speak with. We need to prove this.
However, under the camera of journalist Sunny Handao, even a pregnant passerby thinks the protesters have crossed the line.
So was that camera on or off?
Just say turn off your camera. I agree with what they're saying. It's wrong what you're doing. You don't know why people's doing what they're doing, but you want to be out here judging and then filming.
This confrontation was put online and went viral, reaching nearly 6 million views since last year. One of the views was Erica.
I was just totally appalled that this was happening because I've never encountered anything like this before, and I just couldn't believe it was happening. I couldn't believe that it was allowed to happen, that there was actually nothing in the law that could prevent these protesters from harassing women on the street.
Erica starts a campaign on change.org calling for a buffer zone area outside the clinic to protect women at their most vulnerable stage.
I don't think anyone out there is saying that having a termination is a nice event, is a joyous occasion. But if a woman has made up her mind that she does not wish to carry a fetus in her womb, then she has every right to have this treatment.
Within a few months, there has already been an overwhelming support behind the computer. She said the campaign doesn't targeting what protesters are doing, but where they're doing it.
They can protest, say, half a mile away, 500 metres away. You know, they can still protest, but just not right outside the clinic doors, because what does that say? That says that they are specifically there to target the women who are going into the clinics.
On the other side of the debate, Abort 67 thinks this is killing their freedom of speech.
They're calling for this buffer zone under false allegations that we harass women, that we shout at women, that we harangue women. They're using all this language, which if we were harassing women, the police would have arrested us anyway, because harassment in itself is an arrestable offence. So there's no need to have a buffer zone where you can't be harassed.
Under the current Harassment Act, as long as the action causes alarm or distress, it is considered to be harassment. But before any action to be carried out, the police has to receive a complaint, and this has caused a problem. The harassment issue has been a silent war because we were told victims rarely want to breach their own medical confidentiality. Jolene is one of them. She is in her 20s. She doesn't want to be filmed. She was pushed into an abortion by her abusive partner.
I guess I didn't expect him necessarily to be happy about the pregnancy, but I didn't expect that he would be so angry and abusive. At that time in my life, I didn't feel under any circumstances that I could ever go through another abortion again, because this was a baby that I really wanted.
But the abuse has eventually drained her emotionally and physically.
Even though you don't want to have the abortion, it gets to a point where it's either you have the abortion or you're going to end up dead.
At the end, she gave in and agreed on an abortion. It was the day she went to a Mary Stopes clinic where she met the protesters.
They had almost like a little tabletop going on with obviously their horrific leaflets. They had a lot of religious memorabilia, and they had people who were basically preaching and doing blessing symbols to you as you go in. My mental health was completely at that point was just horrific, and I think that the problem is that when you have an abortion that you don't want, it's really hard to kind of deal with it.
Jolene was left traumatized. She felt the protesters were just against her.
You know, protesters like you're a murderer, well, they've no concept, they've no idea of how it actually feels to be in that situation. Someone who's protesting about a life, about a baby, isn't concerned about you or your situation. They don't appreciate that domestic violence happens. To me, they just abuse women. They're not interested in me. They're not interested in my baby afterwards. They're just interested in the fact that I don't go for an abortion. They're not.
The case of Jolene, other girls, and even the clinic staff have raised concern for the British Pregnant Advisory Services. Seeing the victims' testimonies, BPAS, one of the country's largest abortion service providers, understands why women decided to stay quiet from the protesters.
These groups are very vicious online, they are quite personal about people, you would not want to be singled out by them. So I think to ask that of a woman is really unfair of British society, of the government and of the police actually. I think we have to acknowledge that in this instance, women as a group, pregnant women, are being targeted by some people with very extreme views, and it's not fair to put it on one individual.
BPAS and the neighbours in the district have started similar backup campaigns to reclaim the control over the area. But back on the street, Abort 67 continues on what they call as educational work.
You think that we should be able to do that under any circumstance? No. Why not? No.
Because it's cruel. It's a living being.
The day has not been easy, but Ruth and her team are not alone here. Without using graphic images, this pro-life group Spark chose these colourful placards to remind people the passing of Abortion Act half a decade ago. But beneath that, they share the same value as those who are seen as extremists.
We don't officially do that, but we support organisations who do that because they are there on the front line. That is the last point when you can say to a woman and convince her not to kill her baby. So if somebody calls themselves pro-choice, I don't know how they can possibly think it's right to stop women from getting help to keep their baby.
When the issue is so torn between two sides, an eruption of voices demanding a buffer zone, what is the government actually doing to resolve the problem? Erica and the BPAS knocked on the door of the 10th Downing Street in March to hand in the petition. As much as they believe there should be a change to safeguard the right of women, the government thinks otherwise.
The letter that I had from the government was very dismissive of the campaign. They do not want to bring in any buffer zones, they don't want to bring in any change of law. They say the law is already adequate, that police have the powers.
Although it may seem to be a long way until the change of law comes about, Erica is determined to fight this battle. But so is her opponent. With the current situation on their side, they would just have to gain enough support to make sure the law keeps it this way. But their aspirations go beyond this.
If buffer zones are passed, we'll continue to find ways to spread this word and to let women and men see the truth of what abortion does to a preborn child. It won't stop us spreading this message. And eventually, we're going to make abortion unthinkable in this nation.